X3K17。
哦，这么好考。
This is a heavy toll station in northeast China, and right now I'm actually talking to a machine. Normally cars just drive up and automatically get a card, but motorcycles are different. In China, motorcycles only have a license plate in the bike, so the system can't scan it. So a staff member has to connect remotely and enter my plate number manually before I can get a card. Motorcycles are actually not allowed on highways in most parts of China, but here in the northeast, they are allowed. Today I'm riding from Yingkou to Shenyang.
It's a little bit nervous, actually.
Now that I'm on the highway, the ride itself is actually pretty normal. But motorcycles on Chinese highways are actually quite rare. In many parts of China, motorcycles are not allowed on highways at all. But the big problem is not the highway. The big problem is the city. Many Chinese cities buy motorcycles inside the urban area. Shenyang and Harbin are two examples here in the northeast. If I ride directly into Shenyang, I could be entering a restricted area. But instead of riding all the way into the city, I had to exit the highway earlier. Otherwise, I made a ride straight into the motorcycle ban zone. Motorcycle rules in China are actually very different depending on the region. In northeast China, motorcycles can usually use highways. In many thousand cities, motorcycles are not allowed on highway at all. And many large cities restricted motorcycles inside the urban area. So today I have to leave the highway before reaching the city center. Riding a motorcycle in China is possible, but you really need to understand the local rules, because every city can be different.
3K17。
扫码缴费，请到辽宁高速通微信小程序。
After leaving the highway, I had to stop for a while and figure out where I could actually go, because in many cities like Shenyang, motorcycles are not allowed in many areas. So I needed to check the map and make sure I wouldn't accidentally ride into a restricted zone. I really didn't want to get a ticket on my first day here. After riding for about 10 more kilometers, I stopped again near the southern edge of Shenyang. I needed to check the map one more time to make sure I wasn't entering a motorcycle restricted area. Many Chinese cities have specific zones where motorcycles are not allowed, especially closer to the city center. And from what I could see on the map, the restriction zone was only about 1 or 2 kilometers ahead. So instead of risking a fine, I decided to find a place to stay right near the edge of the city. The next morning, I tried to head towards the eastern side of Shenyang to visit Fuling Tomb. But to get there from where I stayed, the normal route would go straight through the city. And because Shenyang restricts motorcycles in many urban areas, I had to be careful about where I was riding. At one point, another rider on a Harley came up behind me. He passed me, looked back, and shouted that there were cameras ahead and motorcycles weren't allowed on the road. He waved for me to follow him, but honestly, I don't want to take the risk. Even though motorcycles are restricted in many parts of Shenyang, you still see riders around the city. Most locals just know which roads to avoid.